He has this very serious allegation made against him of rape back in Vegas in 2009. It was covered by a non-disclosure agreement for a good number of years, but it has resurfaced. Very distressing to read about. However, he hasn't been charged and he hasn't been convicted. So why should the sponsors, the club, all wash their hands of him?
Because the behaviour is morally reprehensible, irrespective of any criminal allegation, whether proven or not. And
well, hang on, what behaviour is morally reprehensible? If you believe his denial, in other words, if you take his side of this, then he's a single guy having a fling with a woman in Vegas who's also single. What's the moral reprehensible bit, unless you have convicted him in your head?
I haven't convicted him in my head, but
on
the very basis that he has organised a fixer to pay this woman off, that would suggest that there was some element of his behaviour that was unacceptable, because otherwise why would he have parted with cash if there was nothing in it?
Why is she taking a cheque for several $100,000? How does that help anyone?
We can't debate the reasons, the whys and wherefores as to why she accepted the money, other than she was probably massively coerced. The important point here is that women who are sexually assaulted by men in power should not feel too afraid to come forward.
But again, your language, you see, you've convicted him. This is the point of the argument. It's like, you know, with the Kavanaugh case in the Supreme Court, it's the same thing. Your language is all that he's a guilty man.
Well, except that Gabriel says that the NDA suggests something happened.
We know that famous people pay people off all the time because they don't want to have the aggravation of trials. It doesn't imply guilt, does it?
If we say that thousands of young lads in the UK and around the world will have Ronaldo on their football T-shirts. The mums of those boys who've got Ronaldo on the back of their T-shirt, do they want their boy to look up to somebody who has this serious allegation against him?
There's no admission of any criminal liability in the settlement, right? At all. And this woman,
I haven't seen the.
Well, maybe you should be. This is my problem. You are convicting him with your language.
I haven't.
You haven't even seen the documents we're talking about.
Item 6 of the FIFA Code of Conduct advises players to take a note of how their actions affect the moral image of the game.
So do you want all footballers to stop going out, partying, having sex with people?
No, I'm not saying that. It's about how you treat women.
I'm struggling to find the part of the language here that actually isn't a conviction. And my argument about this is, surely due process means Ronaldo's been charged, he's been accused of offences, he's allowed to defend himself, he strenuously denies any wrongdoing, right, any criminality, and yet people want him to lose potentially tens of millions of pounds worth of endorsement and ruin his career.
There's something that you said just a moment ago which sort of set alarm bells off, which is that rich, powerful people quite often pay off people to avoid the aggravation of a trial.
Yes, they do.
Yes. But it doesn't mean to say they're guilty.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
That's the point.
It shows the power imbalance that a victim or an alleged victim might feel and how they feel.
Yeah, but Susanna, we also know a lot of people are attracted to going after famous people for nefarious reasons sometimes.
Yeah, well, and in your experience, as a former agent, you presumably, are very aware of that.
And it has been in my experience. And I guess the bit, I'm very much about process. I'm about this as being you're innocent until proven guilty, and it can't be trial by media. And I guess the bit when you were bringing up about if kids have got Ronaldo on the back of his shirt, fair enough. But I'd also want to teach them that actually we have a justice system, and then he is innocent until proven guilty. And I wouldn't want children to see that be detailed in a different way.
You don't know for sure that he's a guilty man, do you?
I don't know for sure he's...
So why are you assuming that he's guilty?
I'm not assuming he's guilty.
You're saying he's morally reprehensible.
He has got somebody to part with what I would consider to be a huge sum of money to silence her.
Right.
And do you think that in itself is morally reprehensible.
Yes, I do.
Never mind the
Yes,
actual
I do.
allegation.
Do you think any settlements like that are morally reprehensible, even when there's no liability made in the settlement? Because what happens in America in particular
All
is
of these
many
agreements-
high-profile people are targeted relentlessly by people who want to trash and smear them with a public display of allegation and smear and so on.
To bring
If you
them
were
down.
totally...
Who often turn out to be talking complete nonsense and are doing it as a scam. How do you settle something like that without, in your eyes, crossing moral reprehensible behaviour?
If you are out there in the public domain, you have a greater responsibility for your moral code of conduct.
My point is, you have taken his position and said you're lying. She's telling the truth.
No,
And he must now be rude.
I haven't taken a judgment on the
But you called him morally reprehensible.
On the criminal case, I'm talking about a standard of behaviour that is in breach of the FIFA code of conduct
what is
for
though?
players.
What's in breach if he's denying any criminality? What is the behaviour you're talking about?
Well, if you are out there and you are accosting women,
Accosting? What do you mean?
But he's not said. He's not said.
She never said she was a
Lizzie,
cop.
can
She
I-
said she
okay.
went with involuntarily.
Okay, Lizzie.
Yeah.
If you were his agent,
Yes.
how would you be dealing with this? Because this is extremely serious.
This is extremely
If this
serious.
actually happened, and there was a police report at the time, there's no statute of limitations, so this is now probably going to be investigated thoroughly again. If she's telling the truth, and she has been diagnosed with PTSD, and she's just given up her job, and she's obviously suffering. If that's what happened to Cristiano Ronaldo...
Can we put the word allegedly in here?
I
Can we
said
not just
if.
blanket
I said
assume
if.
everything people say is true? This thing about my truth is the truth. No, the truth has to be undergone, investigated,
And there is going to be an
determined by
investigation.
due process.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
So
What would
I
you
think,
do?
So the bit here is, I'm not saying if he is convicted, then he should go through the due process like any other person. But at the moment, we are trialing him by the media, and we're making assumptions. We don't know why that NDA came about. We don't know whether she was party to that in a different way, and therefore, actually, you asked me what if he was agent. I think they're doing the best that they can. He's gone out publicly to 200 million people
But
and
have you
said
experienced footballers being
I did,
accused of...
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a very serious allegation, and working in a male-dominated environment for over 25 years, I empower women. I'm very passionate about that, and I was asked very early on in my career to look after a footballer who was up on a rape charge, and I refused to do that until I'd personally read the evidence because I wanted to see that.
Right.
And as I made my assumption out of the back of that. It went to court. It was 4 days on every red top, every day, all of that. And when he was acquitted and found not guilty, and that she was lying, it was page 10. This.
And what happened to his reputation?
His reputation, it wasn't much about his reputation. It actually damaged a lot of his family. He had kids. I think there's all of those different things. Like Cristiano, it's very difficult. His whole family were questioning him. And actually, he was found not guilty, and still that stigma for a very long time.
You would never lose that stigma, and that's why I think due process is so
which is
important.
exactly why the brand is damaged. It is exactly why
The brand is
stigma
damaged.
itself.
The brand is damaged if, with respect, people like you have already convicted him, despite his vehement denial and before due process has run its course.
I have not foregone due process.
You said his behaviour was morally reprehensible.
Yes.
And when I've challenged you to say what part of his behaviour you believe has been absolutely determined as morally reprehensible, you couldn't answer me.
Yeah.
Do you have an issue with young male footballers getting drunk in Vegas, going up to
doesn't
hotel rooms?
Ronaldo doesn't drink.
He doesn't drink.
Was he not drinking that night?
He does. Well, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't drink.
I don't think alcohol was said to be a big factor,
His brother died. He was alcoholic.
Right.
He died. So I don't.
Okay.
And irrespective
So
of whether
alcohol's
he's drinking,
he's not...
In other words,
Guilty of being drunk?
Yeah. So he's fully compos mentis.
Behaving in what he believes is a totally consensual manner. So the point is, due process hopefully will determine the real truth about this.
Yes.
And at that point, we can make a judgment,
Yes.
surely, about how
I
morally
agree.
reprehensible he's been or otherwise. To say it now means you've convicted him.
No, the very fact that we're even discussing this has tarnished the brands that
So any
sponsor him.
allegation can be made by anybody, even as we know from this very case you've just heard. A footballer was finally acquitted because a woman
was
lied.
reported to the police.
Right? So
there was another allegation back in 2005 where the CPS determined there wasn't sufficient evidence.
Well, there was a story in the papers at the weekend,
investigation.
for example, where Ronaldo was accused, I think, in London of some sexual assault on a woman, and the cab driver who gave the victim, alleged victim, a lift home afterwards said he'd rarely encountered a happier human being talking about her wonderful night of passionate sex with Ronaldo. So these things are murky, especially
I agree,
especially around multi-millionaire footballers.
We also have to acknowledge that most allegations of rape and sexual assault do not result in a conviction.
In a conviction, but that doesn't necessarily mean to say that the allegation doesn't have some foundation.
Well, look, it's an interesting debate.
Right. I mean,
it's
it's
debate.
hard to
And
bring
the important thing is that women, no matter what position the alleged perpetrator is in, come forward and report these allegations.
On that, I completely agree with you.
Yes.
I wish women didn't take hundreds of thousands of pounds when these things happen and keep
Although
silent.
in that situation...
To me, it looks like they're then taking the money and the money became an incentive.
Well, or she felt like that was the only justice
coerced.
that she could
But wouldn't
get.
it be more powerful if she said, I'm not taking a penny of your money and I want justice? That, to me, is more powerful than give me a massive cheque and I'll go away for...
You don't know what legal advice she was given
we
at
do
the
know
time.
we do know she took a massive cheque. We do know she said nothing for 9 years.
Yes.
We do know that because of the Me Too movement,
hang on, she went to
she's
the
now
police.
come forward again, right?
She didn't not say anything for 9 years. She did go to the police
And
at the time.
he wasn't charged with any offence.
No. Anyway.
Was he? He wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
So she went to the police, yes, but he wasn't charged.
But it's at what point she's...
I don't know if Ronaldo's guilty or not, right? We'll have to wait and see. And it's a massive story, and these are very serious allegations. But some of the facts in this are murky.
I agree, which is exactly why the investigation should go on. But no matter what, if a woman feels that she has been sexually abused in any way, shape or form by any man in any position, any place, anywhere, they should go and report. It should be subject to full investigation.
I completely agree with you about that. What they shouldn't be, in my view, is automatically believed on every point, because they're allegations.
And this is the divide, isn't it? This is the divide about believe all women.
All men, when it's male on male, right? The point is, if you automatically... We know from a spate of rape cases recently in this country that collapsed when new evidence came forward.
We also know
the
how
complainants
hard it is
were lying,
to come forward
but not
with
everybody, sadly, is telling the truth.
Yes.
That's the point of a
where
court
there are
case.
those malicious allegations, that they should be investigated and gone through the courts.
We're moving into other areas of the
Cristiano Ronaldo has said on Twitter, I firmly deny the accusations being issued against me. Rape is an abominable crime that goes against everything that I am and believe in. Keen as I may be to clear my name, I refuse to feed the media spectacle created by people seeking to promote themselves at my expense.